under the weather, but what is on my mind this morning? A lot of attention has been focused over the last 2 to 3 weeks on violence in our schools because of the several incidents that have occurred involving our students. And what you see captured on video and the accounts of the circumstances gives many of us reasons to pause and question what is really going on. Is it overexposure to bad things? Is it overexposure on social media? Is it their lived experiences at home playing out? Have they been taught to respond to conflict with conflict? Is there some mental trauma or hurt that is fueling how certain students are responding to disagreements with their peers? And I think in our current dispensation, George and our listeners, it's a combination of all of these factors and more. Broken homes with hurt, maladaptive children functioning in ways they have lived and learned to function. And this is one, I believe, of the biggest hurdles Jamaica, this society, will have to cross if we're really about significantly reversing the cycle of children turning to violence almost like a default setting to address issues when they arise. As a start, it's going to take reassessing all the measures we have been using over the years to address violence in our schools and violent children. What is working and what is not working? And I did listen, George, to the Minister of Education, Favour Williams, last week, Friday, talking to you guys and itemizing so many programs in our schools. She mentioned a socialization department involving the police, programs on peace education, partnerships with the Jamaica Conservation Development Trust for therapeutic sessions, among so many other things that she mentioned. But when is the last time that data was collected, collated, assessed to see which of the programs are really generating the greatest success and which ones are failing, really? Which programs need more funding and which programs need to just be discontinued? And that must be done to ensure the programs are fulfilling its intended purpose, and where there's room for new measures and the doing away with older ineffective ones, that has to be done at this time. Now, I heard something last evening, George, that I was hearing for the first time, and I can see how that could be used to respond to the current challenges. The president of the Jamaica Teachers Association says every month, reports from all public schools about the number of violent incidents and the circumstances of that is written and sent to the Ministry of Education. Here's what he said.
We will continue to maintain our stance on that position, that in schools that have a greater propensity for violence, school resource officers need to be deployed in those schools.
How do you determine that greater propensity for violence, though, Mr. Johnson?
You hear it around, Cliff. You see it. The principals will tell you. The data is there. The data is disseminated to the Ministry of Education on a monthly basis. Once there is always...
I mean the reports of incidents of violence?
Of incidents of violence within the schools.
Oh.
Every month, deans of disciplines have a requirement of submitting to the Ministry of Education an incident report, a log of all the incidents within the schools. Mm-hmm. Now, if we are analyzing the data from these logs, then we will see from a school the number of fights that took place within a month, where these fights took place, amongst who the fights were in, or the students were involved, whether male or female. It tells the communities that these students come from. So this information is collated at the school. We now need to use this information to ensure as best as possible we target the interventions at the required.
So schools, as a matter of course, are required to report incidents of violence?
Yes, they are. Yes, schools are required to do so.
Every month?
Every month.
Every month, these reports from all public schools are sent to the Ministry of Education. And I heard the PSOJ president, Metri Siaga, yesterday urging government to use the data that you have. And there is no clearer data than that to guide how the ministry, the government, schools, parents, and other stakeholders in crafting tailored responses to match the circumstances of a particular school or particular children based on what you're seeing from those reports that you're getting every single month. What school A with 12 fights a month, drug use and students showing off guard rings may need is not what school B with 2 fights every quarter will need, but the report is guiding you so you'll be able to tailor what one particular school needs or what the response to one particular school should be in comparison to another. And if you look further into that data that you're getting, it may show that at school A, student Sammy has been cited in more than one report for behavioral issues. Sammy is from community X and a broken home. How can we help Sammy? How are we going to get Sammy's guardians, parents, mother, father actively involved in the process of helping Sammy? What is going on in Sammy's home that is causing Sammy to be delinquent? Cause Sammy to act out the way that Sammy is acting out. And if we're to intensify the sort of clinical response aided by the data that you're getting every single month, some budgetary realignment, greater recruitment of certain professionals and collective effort, then we could perhaps see a re-engineering and some change in how we are responding to violence and how our students are behaving. There's nothing we can't do when we have or need to do it. And this is one of the things we need to do more clinically if we really want to reverse a cycle of broken homes and maladaptive behavior and poor conflict resolution. The budget has to be realigned to recruit more guidance counselors. Can you make room for some more and place them where the data is telling you that they're needed? And I think the call by the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica for conflict resolution professionals also has merit. And again, use the data to tell you where those trained persons are most needed. Every school won't need to have a conflict resolution professional. Members of the constabulary who are resource officers are no longer posted in schools as well, but they can be called upon when needed. And here I'd say again, let the data guide that approach. Where the data shows that a temporary police post needs to be established, that should be done. It's about pivoting to meet the circumstances presented by the schools monthly. A part of that recruiting I spoke about earlier includes more social workers. We have to get into the homes and remain with those homes. And I can't stress that enough. Something is going on in some of these homes that is just waiting to be discovered. And you won't know unless you step in and pull the curtain. Broken homes create broken children. And hurt people hurt people. We must get into the homes and also create a space for children to speak freely. Because if we're about significantly shifting the cycle of violence in the young before they get old, that's how we'll have to do it. And that's what's on my mind.